Hello everyone! Welcome to Reflections by Lily, my brand new YouTube channel. This is going to be my first YouTube video ever, and I'm super excited to be sharing this with you all today. I've been wanting to make a YouTube channel for a very long time, and I decided that I'm going to start it now. So thank you so much for watching this video, but I don't want to waste too much time, so let's get right to it. These are some interview tips and how to survive an interview. So my first piece of advice is to go visit the company website and obviously learn about their business, learn about their revenue stream, so their products and their services, how they make money. Go to the About Us page and learn about the other employees that work there. And then last but not least, go check out what is the deeper meaning behind their business. So you can find this in their mission statement. You can find this in a How We Started page. Any kind of page where they talk about the deeper meaning behind their business, the underlying meaning that is the underlying tone behind everything they do. And finding this deeper meaning of their business is super important because this is almost the identity of the company, is in their mission, is in this deeper meaning. So you want to make sure you have a good understanding of that. Also, in the interview, when they do ask you, why do you want to work here, instead of having some generic answer that has anything to do with the particular industry that the business is in, always tie it back to their deeper meaning, because their deeper meaning is what makes them unique. It's what defines the company. So if you have a good understanding of the deeper meaning behind the business, then that can carry you really well throughout your interview if you always tie your points back to that. My next suggestion, number 2, is to go reread the job description. So obviously when you applied for the job, you had some idea in mind of what they would expect of you, but go reread the job description again and look at, it'll usually have like your role, like your role in the business, what you would be doing. And then we'll also have a list of the skills required throughout the job. So you want to definitely take a look at the main description, the roles, and the skills. So when you look at the roles and the skills, try to think back to a time in which you've demonstrated that you've performed well in such a role, or that you've try to think back to a time in which you've demonstrated a certain skill that they ask of you. And so when they maybe do bring this up in the interview, or you can bring this up yourself, it can show that you're very qualified if you're able to demonstrate that you can do those skills and activities that they need you to do. So for example, say one of the roles is you need to be an event organizer as a part of the job. Well, go try to think back to a time in which you've organized a more formal event. So maybe you've helped organize a fundraiser. Maybe you helped organize a get together for a club. A club or organization. Try to think about a time where you have shown that you can do whatever they need you to do. So my third piece of advice is kind of tagging on my second piece of advice on rereading the job description, is to use the STAR method. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. And so the STAR method is a great way to show that you have demonstrated a skill that the job needs you to be able to do. So let's dive into this a bit more. So the situation is, what was the dilemma? What was the situation in which you took part to demonstrate the skill. The task is, what did they need of you to do? What was the missing piece that you somehow filled? And then the action is, what did you do to fill that missing piece or to address the need? What did you do? What was the actions you did? And hopefully this action has something that ties into the skills that they're needing from you. And then the result is, hopefully there's a positive result. If it's not a positive result, don't use this example. But what was the result of your very successful actions that you did? And this is a great way to talk more about how you can demonstrate those skills and, perform well in the company in case maybe there's another situation of the sort. So my next piece of advice is to prepare questions for your interviewer. So obviously in an interview, they're going to be asking you most of the questions, but at the end of the interview, they'll usually ask you, what questions do you have for me? And If you end up saying, I don't have any questions, that does not look good. I mean, some people get away with it, but always try to have some questions in mind. So here are a few questions that you can use that can go for any kind of business or organization that you're applying to work for. So this I would say is one of the most important questions is, can you talk a little bit more about your most successful employee and what made them so successful, efficient, and helpful in the workspace? And this is a great question because it can show you what does the boss want to see from you? What can you do that they will find very impressive? And it it's a little cheat sheet right there. So if you're able to ask that question, it's a great question. Make sure you keep in mind what they say so that when you start working there, hopefully you can know to prioritize those skills that they talked about. So if they say, hey, my most efficient employee was very detail oriented and very organized, I mean, obviously to show those skills and that you can do the same thing and hopefully be better or as good as their best employee. Another great question, which I used to ask at a lot of career fairs, is what is your favorite part about working here? And it's a great question to ask, especially at career fairs, because usually the recruiter, they can talk more about their experience. They can give you some highlights into some of the pros at working at that organization. And it's also a great question for, the recruiter or the interviewer because it's more of a personal question for them. So, they usually like to ask that one. And then this question kind of ties back to the first question, but the question is, what characteristics are needed for someone to perform well in this role? So once again, it kind of is a little cheat sheet for how to perform well in that job and how to impress the people that you're going to be working under. So definitely a great question to use. And when you do get those answers, show those skills that they talked about, show those attributes that they talked about in their answer. And then the last question is, what is the typical day-to-day like at this business or organization? And the reason that this is a great question is because it gives you more insight into how your lifestyle would be like if you started working here. So if they say, so my typical day to day is I get here really early in the morning and, maybe I get out later, or a typical day to day can be, oh, I work, some days I work remotely and then some days I work in office. It's a great way to get some questions answered that you didn't even have in your head yet. So definitely try to ask what's the day to day like, and so you can get more insight for when you do get the job, which I'm hoping you do. So, this is point number 5 is to wear what makes you confident. I'm not going to go too long into this, but for me, I like to wear this really comfortable, like cotton blazer. It's not really a blazer, but it looks like it, especially online. And I also like to have my hair down. I like to wear my makeup. So that's what makes me feel confident. You know what makes you confident. So as long as it's presentable and makes you look really professional, I highly recommend that you wear, what makes you feel the most comfortable and the most confident in yourself. This is going to be point number 6, a bit of a shorter point as well, but don't have a messy background. If say you're interviewing virtually in your room and, your bed is a mess or you have clothes on the floor and they can see that, you definitely don't want to show that you have a messy background because it can kind of give insight into who you are as a person. Maybe, oh, wow, this person's very disorganized in their workspace on their table. So maybe they're going to be disorganized in the workplace. And obviously you want to give the best impression of yourself. So don't have a messy background. Clean up the background if you can. If not, just, do your interview in front of a blank wall as a quick and easy solution to that. Point number 7 is body language. I don't want to go too much in depth with this one, but just, your basics. Don't slouch, don't cross your arms. Try to look into the camera. That's actually super important, especially for virtual interviews. I know it's really tempting to look at the screen to look at them, but when you're answering a question, I at least always try to look into the camera so at least I can kind of simulate that person to person experience. But even if you don't, I'm sure they'll be fine with that too. People are still getting used to the virtual transition, but if you can look into the camera while you're talking to them. It's going to be really helpful for them and it'll look really good. And then my last piece of advice, and I need to tell myself this one, is to test out your interview platform a day or two before your interview. So for Google Hangouts, it's obviously easier to use, but for some of the platforms that you need to download, like Cisco WebEx, Microsoft Teams, Skype for Business, for any of these platforms, obviously, if you have to download it a day or two before and then test it out. Make an account and try to see if it's working. Even try to do a test call with your friends so you can learn how to use the platform because all these platforms are really different from each other. I didn't do this once and it was okay. We made it work. But what I did is I downloaded it the morning of, and then like 10, 20 minutes before my interview, I was having login issues. And so I couldn't log in, and it was saying I had an account, but I didn't think I had an account. And I didn't know the login information, and it was all a mess. And so I ended up sending my interviewer I created a Google Hangout link and I sent it to them and I said, hello, this interview platform isn't working. So do you mind if we meet through Google Meet instead? I appreciate your flexibility and I hope you understand. If say, for example, you can't get the program that you're using to work, try to, in your email with an apology that sorry that this isn't working, definitely try to include a Google Meet link so it shows that at least you have some good conflict management skills of sorts. All right, everyone, so that is all of my interview tips for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you at our next one. Feel free to like and subscribe. I've always wanted to say that, so here I am doing it. More videos coming soon, and I wish you all the best of luck on your interviews that are coming up. Hope to see you guys soon. Bye.